Episode 54B. United States, North Carolina, Dogwood Alliance. The dark side of renewable energy, how bioenergy causes air pollution. Counterpunch.org, with writer from the Dogwood Alliance. This article was produced by Earth, Food, Life, a project of the Independent Media Institute. Sam Davis is a conservation scientist with Dogwood Alliance who works at the intersection of forests, climate, and justice. Excerpt. The dark side of renewable energy, how bioenergy causes air pollution. How bioenergy causes air pollution, the dark side of renewable energy. Alternate.org. Alternate.org. We've looked at indoor cooking smoke exposure to learn about the air pollution from burning wood. Before the 2010s, biomass was almost never used to. How bioenergy causes air pollution, the dark side of renewable energy. Countercurrents. Countercurrents. This is mostly out of convenience, because wood pellets can burn alongside fossil fuels like coal. While many countries consider wood pellets carbon, wood pellets also create particulate matter air pollution when they're made. Biomass burning creates additional pollutants, too. This ambient air. The dark side of renewable energy, how bioenergy causes air pollution. Counterpunch. Counterpunch. Biomass, or bioenergy, creates energy by burning living materials like plants and trees. The wood pellet industry uses trees to make wood pellets. Traditional biomass burning impacts. How do we know about the connection between biomass and air pollution? Biomass is most often used in developing countries to cook and heat the home. We've looked at indoor cooking smoke exposure to learn about the air pollution from burning wood. Before the 2010s, biomass was almost never used to generate household energy. Now the U.S. exports millions of tons of wood pellets every year to other countries, despite the known health risks. The household air pollution impacts from home wood burning are extensive. This domestic smoke pollution can cause plus acute lower respiratory infections, plus lung cancer, second only to smoking, plus decreased respiratory health, plus exposure to carbon monoxide, plus increased risk of pneumonia and other acute respiratory infections, plus increased risk of COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Air pollution from biomass is common in homes that heat with wood. But the industrial production and combustion of wood pellets for electricity cause many of these same impacts. What you can do about air pollution. Living in dirty air is hard and dangerous. If you live near one of these facilities, there are some things you can do. Plus, educate yourself and your community about the dangers of air pollution. You can use this downloadable fact sheet to help. Plus, monitor local air quality data to protect yourself on bad air days. Plus, install an air monitor on your property. If you have the privilege of not living next to a wood pellet plant or other biomass facility, consider yourself lucky and get involved in the movement. U.S. states. Alabama, Brookwood coal mine strike for last 2 years. Last stand in coal country. Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone. They settle at his feet in front of a wood-burning stove. It's a hallmark scene if you don't look too closely. All the toys have been donated by workers at Alabama's Brookwood mine have been on strike for nearly 2 years, the longest in the state's history. Excerpts. Santa is here to read The Night Before Christmas. They settle at his feet in front of a wood-burning stove. There's never been a worse time to be a miner, and that's saying something. As of 2021, fewer than 40,000 miners remain in the country, down from 91,000 in 2011. One explanation is America's awakening to the environmental implications of coal, but the true answer is more capitalistic than climate. Coal is now more expensive than natural gas produced from fracking, another environmentally dubious source of energy. The mine offers a good wage, and with all the mandated overtime, you can earn around $95,000 a year. There is a gold-plated insurance plan to help you cope with the inevitable respiratory illnesses and joint destruction. The Brookwood strike raged hot at first. Senator Sanders came down to offer his support, and Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine threw a benefit concert. Nearly 2 years in, most of America seems to have forgotten about the miners' strike. Suddenly, the shield came crashing down on a coal mine worker, splitting his helmet in two, snapped his femur, and smashed his internal organs. He drifted in and out of consciousness, coming to on a stretcher as he hit the surface. A helicopter and ambulance were waiting for him. He spent 9 days on heart and lung machines before he stabilized. Brookwood strikers broke car windows of replacement workers and bloodied the faces of strikebreakers trying to get to the mine. But there were credible reports of strikers being hit by cars on 2 occasions. Most of the Alabama public only heard about the miners' rage. This was not an accident. Warrior Met hired the public relations firm Citric & Company, longtime practitioners of the dark art of crisis management. The union has tried other tactics. In December, for white buses brought 30 strike supporters for a silent candlelight vigil. It didn't last long. The protesters were met by the screaming sirens of multiple police cars. And there's bills that you can't pay, and you have to start asking for help. Last year, the heat went out on the lower level of the miners' 3-story house. This year, it stopped pumping out heat on the top floor. Now, the family huddles on the middle floor with a space heater, and the temperature dropped into the teens on Christmas Eve. Miners tell me there have been suicides and divorces over the long winter of the past 2 years. U.S., Alaska. Largest survey to date on air quality shows a range of opinions on the environmental problem. Fairbanks Daily News Miner. Our community has been working on addressing the linked issues of winter air pollution, affordable energy, and wood burning for over a decade. Largest survey to date on air quality shows a range of opinions on the environmental problem. Fairbanks Daily News Miner. Would smoke bellows from a stove stack along Farmers Loop Road as homes to address wood smoke pollution than it does for regulations. U.S., California, Plumas. Community Green, Home Sweet Home, where would it be? Plumas News. Plumas News. Climate was on her list. Breathable air was a must. What prompted this second item was the increasing amount of wood smoke plaguing her town in the U.S., Colorado, Crown Heights. Fire breaks out at Basil Restaurant in Crown Heights, COL Live. COL Live. To have originated from a blocked vent in the restaurant's wood-burning pizza oven, causing lots of smoke in the area, bystanders said. U.S., Idaho, Twin Falls. House fire in Twin Falls highlights the need for proper smoke detectors for your home. KMVT. Fire officials say this is a great lesson to learn about fire safety and prevention as well as proper disposal of ashes from a wood burning. U.S., Indiana. Fire safety tips for Hoosiers as spring nears, WRTV. WRTV. The smoke from any fire can harm human health and the environment. Although burning leaves and wood are exempt under state rules, it is never advised. Instead of open burning, the Indiana Department of Environmental Management recommends residents to reduce, reuse, and recycle their trash. Take wood. U.S., Indiana, Kosciuszko County. Home a total loss after Tuesday morning fire, Times Union newspaper. Times Union. The home was a double-wide house that had several additions on it with a wood-burning furnace. The homeowner is Adam C. Pammer, according to County.